Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Apolitically Incorrect. I'm your host, Niall Stanton, and I'm filling in this evening for Mr. Jabor. It's a pleasure being here this evening. I have two guests with me. They're from the party of Anuk. I will let my two guests introduce themselves. Let's get right into the ball. We have a lot to discuss tonight. So for the next hour, it's going to be very interactive, interesting, and we hope that we can get feedback from you, the public. So let's introduce ourselves.
Jonathan, go first.
Good evening. Welcome again to one other program of Apolitically Correct. And my name is Jonathan Subrian. I am the General Secretary for ANUG. And I just want to say right out of the cuff that though our personal opinions may be in alignment with ANUG's, they still remain our personal opinion. So whatever we say on this program here is our personal opinion in as much as it may or may not align with ANUG's philosophy. And again, Jonathan Subrian, the General Secretary. Over to you, Dr. France.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I am Dr. Marc France. I am the current chair of Union United Guyana, and I welcome having the chance to speak with you, to interact with you, and to discuss some of the important matters that have occurred over the last couple of weeks here in Apolitically Incorrect Guyana, one of the shows that we have available for us. Sorry about Mr. Kian Jabur being unavailable, but I think we adequately fill in for him. Thank you very much. Niall.
Yes. Let's get right into it. So many things happened this week. We've seen in the press recently that AFC been calling out Dr. Kisoon.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we saw them, speaking concerning Chicom and having her inside there, right? Dr. France, you are once the chairman of ANUC when Asha was going into Parliament. And now you're the chair again, and Asha stayed in Parliament. What is your take on that?
I feel this matter has been ventilated so much in the public that it's a matter of that I don't think anyone is unaware of what is happening exactly. Everyone knows that Dr. Asha Kisoon is illegally in Parliament. Everyone knows that GCOM is at fault for having her illegally in Parliament. Everyone knows that it's GCOM and GCOM's responsibility solely for her to for them to fix that issue and for her to come out of Parliament. Why this has been retarded or this has dragged on for so long is solely GCOM's making and is GCOM's undoing. There is no way that Dr. Asha Kisoon is legally in Parliament. She was placed there illegally via one person who is Mr. Kenrick Morgan, who is not the legally entitled person to select her name from their list to go into Parliament. GCOM is well aware of that. GCOM knows that Dr. Gerald Ford, is the legal representative of the list, and as such, he is the only person who can extract any name from TNM's list to go into Parliament. The Speaker of the House also is well aware, but my feeling is that he or she is unwilling to act as of this moment and is supposedly waiting on GCOM's final decision on the matter for him or her to decide what is it that they do. For him to decide, rather, because it's a male. So I think the less said about the Asha Kisoon matter right now is most important. We all know that the only person who has supported her there is GCOM, not the government or the side that is in government, not the major opposition, not the fringe opposition, if is that what you want to call us, as in the third parties / join the list, and of course not the general public. So the Asha Kisoon matter for us is almost as well as done, because it is only GCOM and more so the chairperson of the commission who is actually keeping her in that seat. So for us, we will not participate as a political party, ANUG that is, in any matter that would help to extend the life of Asha Kisoon in Parliament. So for all those who are asking, why hasn't ANUG gone to court, or why we're not in court, the matter is simple as this. There is no matter for us to prosecute in Parliament. our prosecution of Dr. Ash Kisoon in Parliament will only give her legality in the seat and allow her to stay there until the seat is so somewhat, well, the final decision is made. So that is something that may drag on 3, 4, 5, 6 months. We all know that Parliament is going to close sometime in mid-August, at the end of August. So that is a matter that may very well drag out until the end of August. We won't be party to that. We won't be a part of that, and we won't allow that to happen. It is GCOM to correct their mistake, and it is GCOM to arrest and address the Ash Kisoon matter. As far as ANUG is concerned, we have nothing more to say on that matter, only for GCOM to do their work.
Okay.
Right? Jonathan, if you have anything to add?
Yes, I'd like to add something else to that. A little bit of a trend I keep thinking about. That the AFC and the APNU, they're actually striking a balance to lay blame at the feet of Madam Chair. So I am a little bit nonplussed to know whether they actually want Madam Chair out of the position she's in because of the Ash Kisoon's fiasco. Madam Chair is the only culpable party when you have 3 commissioners from the PPP side and 3 commissioners from the opposition side sitting there. So Madam Chair would possibly be the tiebreaker. But I don't know if this matter was actually ventilated amongst the 6 commissioners before. And added to that, I know that GCOM issued Ash Kisoon a certificate to go into Parliament. And there was a big hue and cry for them to decertify Asha or rescind. Now, I looked at the laws governing that, and there's no mechanism in the laws that says that GCOM can actually decertify Asha. It would have been or should have been a matter for the court to decide because there's no clear-cut language that GCOM can actually pull Asha back from this year. And that's the most I'll say of this. So I'm more asking, is there any other compelling reasons that we are not aware of that the AFC and APNU are dragging this sort of Madam Chair can actually leave, asking for her to leave the position that she's actually in? Like I said, I'm a little nonplussed over that. Over to Niall.
But you'll also think, someone with a conscience, I don't want to go down that road, being a doctor in that position, I think you need to be honest. But I think a mouthful, a lot would have been said on that matter.
I personally think that a doctor, someone who has subscribed to the Hippocratic Oath, yes. Someone who has taken that vow to treat their patients, to do good for all their patients, is someone that you hold in higher regard. Yes. And as such, the actions of Dr. Ash Kisoon is most unbecoming of a medical professional. Myself, I've had my fair issues with being a doctor, but I do know that you hold yourself to higher esteem, and as such, you must carry yourself. Your comportment is much more important, and so simply put, these actions of Dr. Kisoon is most unbecoming, and it's a sad episode of what it takes for medical professionals on a whole, but more so as young politicians, up-and-coming politicians.
Yes.
But we can only learn from this. We can only be strong as a result of this, and we can ask of those persons who dare say they're interested in being involved in politics in the future to hold themselves to high esteems and, of course, stand to a Hippocratic Oath. This is something that clearly hasn't been done by the incumbent, and it's something that I personally think, give her a chance to correct and address, and so that we can move forward as a nation.
There's something else I want to add to that also. There were quite a number of folks who reposed confidence in Asha. Being a young politician, she probably appealed to that Generation Y and Generation Z. My question is, if they repose confidence in her, how do they feel about the position she's taking? Has she betrayed their trust? And I'm talking about the people who actually voted for the party. If she is now betraying their trust, then what happens to the foothold that younger politicians are trying to get on with the business of being politicians? How does that help them? I can only see that it has negative effects because the John Q public is going to look at him and say, look, we give a young politician like Asha a chance, and what happened? What happened now? So there's a bigger picture to this whole thing.
Well, we will hope that, the young people who are individuals who are involved in politics will not take a page out of our book.
Yeah.
Most certainly.
So we know the Guyanese population, they are aware, they're seeing, they know what's happening, and come next election, we know that, or I should say, most persons will not want to support an individual like that in a government, so it is what it is. Also, this week here, we would have lost a Tushao,
Okay.
our first people, we have lost a brother. It is sad. My sympathy goes out to the community and the family. What is Anup take on the whole incident?
So personally, I felt a whole lot when I heard the news because for the last four NTCs, the National Teacher Conference, I have been a part of it. I have taken of my time and of my energies to sit down and listen to the issues plaguing my people, and I say my people here because clearly I am of indigenous descent here in the country, but more so I see myself as Guyanese. I don't see myself as Amerindian Guyanese or East Indian Guyanese, even though I may have those in my bloodline, but I see myself as Guyanese on the whole, and I do believe that this is somewhere where we as Guyanese people should try to see ourselves. I am a big proponent of what happened in Rwanda after the genocide, that you no longer see yourself as Tutsi or Hutu, but you see yourself as Rwandan. And I do believe that for us to get rid of this tension that you see during, especially election times, the ethnic division that you see currently, the only way we can correct same is if we can address ourselves as being Guyanese first and foremost. I have had the pleasure of living outside, of representing Guyana outside, and I can only say that outside of Guyana, you see that unity, be it across ethnic, whatever ethnic lines you come from, ethnicities you come from. Whenever you're out there, you represent Guyana. You proudly rep your flag. And this is something that I want to be ingrained with each and every Guyanese here in Guyana. For you to first think of yourself foremost as Guyanese, and then as whether you want to describe yourself as Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese, but most importantly, you're Guyanese first and foremost. Now, to bring all back to the issue with the Tushao, it is very sad, and I know that Anuk would have released a statement to the media out there that is asking for us to take into account everything that would have happened and to please give our sympathies to the families of the person who would have fallen, and of course for us to look into the matter holistically. Now, from all accounts of the incident that occurred, we know that a leader of the Guyanese population, one of our villages, one of our Tushaus, was involved in a brutal crime, a murder. Now, from all investigations and the releases that have been made so far in the public, it seems that it would have been as a result of someone who have had a previous grievance with the person that was murdered. And as such, this is a matter that calls for not only an awakening of the public's opinion, but for us to all be educated and know what is it that's exactly happening. So the young man who has been arrested so far has admitted to committing the act and been deemed culpable due to whatever it is that the issues that were affecting him. So we know that abuse, be it mental, be it physical, be it emotional, sexual, whatever it is totally not condoned in our laws here in Guyana. But also we know that such things happen throughout our society, especially in our hinterland areas. And I want to pay close attention to this because I have had the privilege of traveling throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. When I was working at the ministry's bond, I was out there distributing medications all over Guyana. And I know that this is a problem that is not only present in one area. Many persons, for whatever reasons, have had complaints of similar issues, be it families that are involved, be it leaders that are involved, and most times these issues are hushed, if I may put it in that way, at the village council level or the community level. And so they're never brought forward out here. So when you get the Child Care and Protection Agency involved, or one of the other agencies that are responsible, it is something that has gone beyond the village council level. But it does not mean that these issues are not existent. And we know that they're existent. Say, for example, if you randomly take a look at one of the Amerindian communities, say, for example, the Baramita community, you will see that alcohol abuse is a huge issue out there. So this is a traditionally Carib indigenous population. This is a population that has not been in interaction with the outside world for a whole lot of time. And so the introduction of certain beverages, more so alcoholic beverages, especially like the famous high wine, is something that has been taken into these villages because it is cheaper than the other versions of beverages that are out there. It is something that is easily latched onto by the population, sold easily by those persons who are vendors of the same, and it has a devastating effect on the population of a whole. You go and you see mothers, you see daughters, you see fathers who are there indulging in these alcoholic beverages. And we know the strength of high wine, for example, 75-80% alcohol. You know that with the smallest amount, persons will get intoxicated. And as a result, we see a lot of social issues arising out of the consumption of these things. And it is for us as a country, it is for us as a nation, and more importantly, the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, to somehow limit and or control the selling of these beverages in the Amerindian population. We know that there are laws out there that prevent or prohibit the sale of such by someone who is not licensed to sell. It is only a matter for us to ensure that these are being adhered to and for there to be better control of sale.
Yeah, because, not cut you, but I was about to go and say, maybe the ministry need to be more proactive. Because if all of these things are happening, and it is just being locked in at one place, you're not knowing what's going on, so maybe persons who are in the office need to get up, go out and see what's happening.
Most certainly.
You've had an opportunity to go into these communities and see exactly what's happening. So if you can do that, then why is it taxpayers are paying persons to be in the ministries? What, it's to sit on the side of the room, an AC room, and that's it?
Yeah, Lord Jonathan.
It's a very, very provocative topic you just brought up, Doc. How about some of the social issues and that occurs with the consumption of alcohol, like incense, or you're pimping out your girl children and stuff like that? Is that prevalent? Is it something that can be looked into? Is there any kind of mechanisms to teach the children or the younger folks about things like that?
Generally, I believe that with education, with increased exposure to the ways of, I would say, the first world, that our indigenous population can indeed be better educated to make wiser choices as a nation. But more so, we need to play our part and ensure that the leaders of the communities are indeed doing their bit, because they would have been elected and they're paid through taxpayers' monies to do the same.
Rather than lip service.
Rather than lip service. So, for example, this incident may have been an isolated incident, something that was probably is linked to the past, but it is something that is existent. It is something that is prevalent. It is something that is there for us to address currently, because I'm going to give you a personal example. Not personal, but I attended the President's College, and during the last week, I saw one of my colleagues who would have attended President's College a couple of years below me, but in 2002, I graduated as top hinterland student. Okay. And this guy graduated probably 5 or 6 years after me as top hinterland student, so he would have broken my records. Now, this is a young man who is currently at Toshao for one of the Amerindian villages in Guyana. This is someone who has had international experience and exposure. This is someone who did a master's in Holland. I think it was water and environmental studies, something along that area. So there's somebody who is exposed to and qualified. in terms of what is it in the wider world. But this is someone who, on a Facebook page, recounted that here's what. Back when I was a kid, back when I was going to high school, and I had no choice but to stay at the Amerindian residence, some of the very seniors and Tashaus there at that level, someone from there tried to molest me.
Wow.
Now, that is clearly saying a whole lot. This is a young man who did well at his common entrance, got President's College, is a student of President's College. But because of the fact that, you can't be there all the time, so you got to come out and spend some time here before you go back to the interior, was out here with what is provided for by the government, and yet felt during that time that he spent at the Amerindian hostel that someone was trying to molest him or someone was trying to get the better of him. And someone who is brave enough to speak about it in this moment. That is not an isolated event.
So
that is something that has been existent, and I can personally say one of the main reasons why my dad ensured that 4 of us went to President's College is because we could have stayed in dorms, we could have stayed with house parents, and we didn't have to stay with a guardian or anybody outside. Okay. Not everyone was as fortunate as us, and so many others may have had different experiences, and I am very sure amongst those experiences would have been some of the unfortunate situations that we're speaking of. So clearly, not only the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Social Services, but also our Ministry of Indigenous Affairs, Amerindian people, whatever you want to call it, they need to look into these issues and ensure that our young and brightest Indigenous peoples are well taken care of. And when they have an issue, there is an avenue for them to address same and for them to get effective, not only counseling, but for their issues to be addressed in an effective manner.
So do you think, Doc, when you're saying that, another thing came to my mind. Do you think that this gentleman narrating that is actually speaking out boldly for the silent screams of many others who are unable to fend for themselves or be articulate enough or come out?
Most certainly. This is a young man who is speaking out here against what happened to him in the past. Mm-hmm. I am almost 100% sure that of the many Indigenous, especially females, who would have come out here and spent time with a guardian, spent time at the hostel, spent time in some other care, they have their own stories to tell, and it may be unfortunate what they would have suffered. Okay. And this is not something that is over the last 10, 20 years. It's something that has been ongoing for the longest while. Okay. So this is something that we can focus on as a people. This is something that we can address. This is something that we can educate. This is something that we can make sure that all of those who are involved currently know that there are avenues for them to address these issues, for them to get help, and for them to get the right authority to address whatever it is that is bothering them. Okay. That is the only way that we can correct such. And it will give you an impression that here's what. It is possible for you to do well at your community level. It is possible for you to come out. It's possible for you to become a leader. It is possible for you to take guidance and or mentorship from others. And then you can go back and give of your own to your communities and to Guyana as a whole. That is where we need to go as a future.
Thank you, Doc. This is for you, John. From a legal point of view. Yesterday we saw we got a new commissioner of police. There's a big talk, of it's alleged that he's reached retirement age of 55. We know our public servants retire at 55, and was given an extension, and then now he's the new commissioner. From a lawyer's view, or a lawyer's point of view, as I may say, what is your take on that, knowing that, reach retirement age, and now we have a new commissioner? We know that a part of the Constitution would have said that, talks need to happen between the opposition leader and the president, and, you have to okay. And also we have, in the justice system, we have 2 female judges who've been acting for the longest while and cannot be sworn into their position as well. But we have a retiree who could have probably go off and just, take care of your grandchildren or whatever, we Guyanese like to say, and give someone else a chance. But what's your take on that?
You asked two separate questions.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'll deal with both of them separately. And why I'm smiling is this, that human beings, all of us, we have built in within us in our DNA is reason and emotion. We all possess these two things called reason and emotion. And many times we allow emotions to overtake us, whereas reason should really prevail. And hear me out on this now. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the 5 deputy commissioners that were there, and also Commissioner Hickens, because they certainly are in compliance with Article 211-1 and 2 of the Constitution. Now, that being said, as Niall Stanton said just now, this appointment has created outrage. They say it's illegal. The police force is in disarray. The young GPF members are left out. No succession planning formula. No future GPF leader position for additional responsibilities. Just business as usual, including a deepening culture of corruption on various levels. Some complicit, others forced to indulge. So there are a whole myriad of things that go through people's mind and social media and other media networks. And I harken back to the reason versus emotion. Our Constitution said, and people are actually not saying these two parts of it. In the prescribed matter of the Guyana Constitution, Act Cap 152712, Section 2, this act states that the retirement age of the Commissioner of Police is 55 years old. However, stick a pin right there. This is the part that lots of the folks out there with this hue and cry are not saying this to the public because they want one side of the story to actually go out and hide the other side. They want the government to look bad. ANUG, and I speak for myself as the General Secretary of ANUG, whenever the government does something well, I praise them. Whenever they do something not so good, I berate. That's the position ANUG also takes on many occasions. Yes. That, when you do well, we tell you do well. When you not do so well, there's something called constructive criticism. I harken back to this yet. So, long and short of it, the age of retirement is 55. However, Section 2B of the article allows the president to authorize the Commissioner of Police to continue in office for the next 5 years. Mr. Stanton, next 5 years. So apart from the 55, the other 5 will be 60. He's well within that. Yes. Now, see, this is the part I smile about also. The letter from the president in Guyana, President Ali, was dated July 21st, 2023. Mr. Clifton Hickens' 55th birthday was July 22nd, 2023. One day after the letter was given to Mr. Hickens to continue. So, don't know whether it was strategically or deliberately or accidentally dated that day or that time. But if there's a code challenge, these are the things that would further add gravitas to negate any legal challenges. Now you ask yourself, are there any precedences? Now let me go back again, make it very clear. 55 is the age of retirement. But the head of the armed forces, our President Ali, at his disposition, can also have it extended for 5 more years. And I want to jump over to understand. So when people got a gaff, a coke, a gaff, or any other gaff, you let them know that is written there. So no matter how much you talk, reason must always govern over emotion. I'll continue. So, are there any precedents of nullity? Like you challenge it in court? Yes, there are. February 6, 2024, the Chief Justice dismissed Carol Joseph Smith's application challenging Hickens' appointment. Past the age of 55, the Chief Judge threw it out. In the case of Christopher Jones versus the Attorney General of Guyana and Clifton Hickens, August 11, 2022, the court also ruled not in favor of Christopher Jones. My understanding that the decision was appealed, but up to this day, no litigation ensued. Right? The opposition leader, rather the larger opposition leader, Aubrey Norton, He argued that there was no proper or adequate consultation between himself and the president on the appointment of Mr. Higgins, as prescribed by law. He also took that to court. Chief Justice Roxanne George dismissed that case also. So here we have a situation where Mr. Higgins was acting commissioner since 2022. And here is where the dichotomy now and the shades are being looked into. If he was the acting commissioner, Niall and Dr. France, since 2022, under his watch, Mr. Calvin Brutus was involved in an $800 million issue. Under the watch of acting commissioner Higgins. $800 million fiasco under his watch. 200 charges instituted under his watch. His wife left Guyana for medical reasons. Okay, the judge allowed him to do that, and then Higgins allegedly tried to flee Guyana into Brazil. Paper shorts, more on Main Street and Midland Main, I think, around there. Up to this day, nothing has come out of that high-profile murder or assassination. Increase in road deaths, alleged corruption in the police force, etc., under his watch. And despite all these prevailing things going on, it's like hanging the millstone around the neck. He was still
in charge.
He was in charge then, and now he has been given the position as the commissioner. I can only report. You take whatever advice you want. The second thing is concerning the two judges you said that we have, the Supreme Court justice that we have acting.
Yes.
They have been acting for a long time. They have been acting in the prior administration, and they're acting in this administration. And I believe that the status quo being maintained when the opposition was in power, and then the now government of Guyana, when they were in the opposition, both sides agreed in their own way to have the position still acting. Is it because they're looking for political favor? Are they looking for any kind of pronouncements from this Chief Justice in their favor? That's why they're hesitant to make these positions a permanent position. I don't know. That's why I smile. No one political party is guilty of this. No one government is guilty of this. Both of them share equal blame for not making these active positions permanent positions. Thank you.
I want to take this discussion, a little different turn now. And this is more so for you, Dr. France, knowing that you're the chairman of ANUC. Hopefully next year we'll be heading to elections. You have a new executive. What is your vision? What is your views? What the Guyanese public could expect coming from ANUC?
So let me start with the appointments of the Chief Justice and the Chancellor. 2 years ago, Niall, I was elected chairperson of ANUC. And since then, I made a call out in the general public for those positions to be officially confirmed. We know that there are currently issues with regard to how these positions are confirmed, but not because they're grave issues per se, but because there seems to be no cooperation nor collaboration on behalf of the two major opposition groups, the current group that is in government and the major opposition. Now, our last Chief Justice / Chancellor, they've been there, I think it was 17 years ago, the last one that was confirmed.
Chan.
Clearly, since Justice Ian Chan. For whatever reasons, both sides, and you, Jonathan did mention both sides, would have clearly ignored the necessity of us having our third legislative arm. So, for example, you have government, you have parliament, and you have the judiciary, the three arms of government. Clearly, you have shown that it is not important for you to get the third arm of government in place. Meaningfully, the judiciary, that is. Now, we have had our fair complaints of the judiciary. We've seen open condemnations from both sides of decisions that have been rendered by the judiciary. Now, the only way that we can correct same is by having someone who is there with the full trust of both the opposition, who nominates, and the government, who appoints those persons in place. Now, if you think that it is much more important for us to have a commissioner of police, one who is very questionable, the appointment that is currently being that was currently done, one that is currently being challenged in the courts by the major opposition, then clearly, as a government, you must see the importance of having the full-fledged appointments of both your chancellor and your chief justice of your judiciary. That is only a start. So our hope at ANUG was that with the appointment of the Judicial Services Commission and the improvements in the justice sector, whereby you've had additional judges being appointed, you've had applications being open for persons to serve on the Court of Appeal, because we know we only have 3 or 4 judges who are there currently. For you to fill that quota, for you to effectively address the appointments of the Chief Justice and Chancellor, so that you have a well-performing and functioning judicial system, this can only help in your governance of your country, given the plethora of cases that are currently before the courts, as we can see. We have seen they can be kicked down the road every single year. 2020, 2021, we've spoken to our current president, the Honorable Irfan Ali, and he said that, you know what, we have a Chief Justice, we have a Chancellor in place. Only thing, they're not substantive, meaning they're not officially confirmed. But clearly, for 17, 19 years, however long it's been ongoing, we cannot continue to have persons who are acting. Now, I can totally understand if there is no confidence in the persons who are there currently. Right. So you can open the application, the invitations to persons from around the world, from the Caribbean, from the Commonwealth, to come and fill those positions if you don't have confidence in those persons who are currently there. But clearly, we've seen the Chief Justice render decisions that have been accepted wholeheartedly by the government and accepted by the opposition, in that they're not challenged. And even if they were challenged, that went all the way to the CCJ and more or less came back to the same ruling that was done at the CCJ. So clearly we can see that they are competent persons who are in those places right now. I think that there's no one more competent than our current Chief Justice for that position, and also our Chancellor for the position that she currently acts in. Now, if it is because the persons who are there in government do not see same or do not agree and think that maybe it is a political appointee who is needed, now that is something that is up for discussion, but we know clearly and truly that the law does not permit for same. We know that the law is asking for the best candidate, the most appropriate candidate, to accept those positions once he or she qualifies for same. And there is nothing that is stopping our government, that is the president and the opposition leader, from confirmation of these positions. And this is something that I feel that needs addressing in the immediate future, much more so before elections in 2025. Because if you have a shaky judicial system, you're only leaving the system up for questions at the end of the day. And we don't want anything being questioned from GCOM nor from our judicial system. So, for example, the Ashikisul matter, who goes to Parliament, be it someone from the LJP, someone from ANUG, based on the interpretation of GCOM, that is something that can be easily settled at the level of the judiciary here in Guyana, whether we go all the way up to the CCJ or not. But it's something that can be addressed, finalized, and settled once and for all. Yeah. So we need to ensure that the government and the opposition come together and get these persons appointed. Now, ANUG after the last election, we have made a call to reach out to various political parties, organizations, groupings, non-governmental organizations, and the sort. One of our major calls to the government will be to ensure that the Chief Justice and the Chancellor are appointed. Whether or not they choose to agree with us, whether or not they choose to ensure that this procedure is ensured before the upcoming election, that is their choice. But our call will always be for the law to be enabled and for us to stick to it as much as possible. And this includes the appointment of those two officers, amongst others, because we do know that currently, because of our huge backlog of cases, we do need more appeal judges who are there at that level, who have that experience, and these can only be appointed when we have all other officers functioning in their true and respective positions. So that is a call that I'm making here publicly. That is a call that I will be making when we meet with the PPP. That is a call I will be making when we meet with the PNCR, which is the main opposition, or APNU, because we believe that the only way we can go forward is by having these appointees addressed.
Okay. Yeah, so to the question I asked earlier, what, you know that you have a new executive for ANU, going forward, what do you guys plan on doing? You know, probably elections is next year. What can the Guyanese public see from ANU? Are there going to be outreaches, you know, more persons being in areas, you know, because as it is right now, you know, indirectly, you know, persons are walking around, meeting, greeting, you know, what ANUC is going to do. You know, ANUC is a small party, but ANUC is one of the parties that stay true. And from 2020 to now, I will think it's the only party that still survive in terms of small party and have a good base. And you know, recently we know that in the media there were things being said in terms of ANUC meeting were invited by the AFC, and they were talking of, you know, being merged, but that wasn't the case. That was untrue, right? So going forward, what can people see from this party to convince them, well, you know, this is the party that I want to support come the next election? Because I mean, you gotta, even a blind person can see what's going on in Guyana.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Niall. That's very important. So for all those persons who are out there, it is very important for you, especially the younger population, to take note that of all the political parties who have survived the 2020 election to 2025, a new and united Guyana is the only, and I repeat, only political party to have effectively made it through an election cycle. Now you can look at the other third parties that were around. You can look at the LJP. Since the 2020 elections, Lennox Schumann and the LJP, they've never held an internal election. So we don't know if it's a party in existence. We don't know if it's a party that has a leader. All we know, it's a one-man party there. The TNM, Dr. Ashley Kisoon's party, they've never held an election after the imbroglio with Dr. Josh Kanai and Dr. Gerald Ford. Whether or not they have support, that's for you to question, but the clear fact that they've not upheld any constitutional arrangement internally clearly shows that they're a party that is not in existence. We have changed Guyana, one of the other parties that gained more votes than ANUC. Their leader, Mr. Robert Badal, has so far stepped away from politics. So there's a party that is not in existence. We've had the Citizenship Initiative, which is another one of the third parties, headed by Mr. Rhonda Lamb and Shaz Ali. We know that Shaz took part in the recent local government elections, but other than that, we've seen nothing more from that third party. So clearly, again, ANUG is the only party that has survived this election cycle.
Every year.
But more so, and more importantly, ANUG is the only party, and all two of you can attest to this. It's the only party that have held elections on time as per our constitution. We've had 5 since our formation for the last 5 years. We've had 5 different executives. We've had changes in our leadership. We've also listened to our people and ensure that we try to represent them as best as possible. Now, where does that put us in the future? Taking part in general elections 2020 has given us something called political currency. Now we know exactly where we stand as a political party. So you did mention, Niall, the AFC.
Yeah.
The AFC probably is our biggest competition, if you're calling it that way, in terms of who is the third party of the future. However, the AFC is tainted with the politics of their past. The AFC, by virtue of being part of the coalition, have been accused of everything that the coalition is accused of, inclusive of probably trying to doctor or get a result at the 2020 elections that they think they should have gotten. Now, ANUG has been clear, ANUG has been in the open, ANUG has been supportive of getting the true results from our people out there for the public. So in 2020, when we went on the road, when we guarded the boxes, when we went and supported the PPP in ensuring that they won, you know what you were called? Subsets of the PPP. Nothing was wrong with that. We are not subsets. We are not subsets. We're not going to be subsets of the PPP. We are actually independent. And we want to see that which is for Guyanese is given to Guyanese. And that is why we are where we are. More so, post 2020, when we have criticized the government and the PPPC party, which is the ruling party, for the mistakes, for the issues that they've had, people have thrown us, inclusive of the vice president, thrown us with the opposition, all opposition parties.
Useless.
Nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with you calling us useless. But we're here as a party to hold you accountable, to ensure that what is it that you've been given the power, and that is to govern, that you govern free and fair and for the people of Guyana. We are here to hold you accountable. We are here to remind you of your promises. We are here to highlight your pitfalls. We are here to praise you when you do good. We are here to ensure that whatever you do is in the best interest of the Guyanese population, and ensure that once you're using Guyanese taxpayers' dollars, that they get the benefit of their dollars that are being spent. That is the only purpose of ANUG. And so our broader mission is for all political parties in Guyana to work together. And that is something that will not change. That is something that will not change if we as ANUG gain a plurality. That is not something that will change if the PPPC or the APNU-FC gains a plurality, because we have made it clear to the population that we will never, and I repeat, never coalesce with anyone to get them into office or to get ourselves into office or into a position that we can make a decision. So we won't coalesce with the PPP and get a couple of ministerial positions. We won't coalesce with the APNU-FC and get a couple of ministerial positions. We're not about that. We're about holding each and everyone accountable, responsible, so that every decision that they make is in the best interest of the Guyanese people. And we do believe, because there is historical evidence to prove, that if there is a third force, there is a third party, there are approximately 30 to 35,000 persons who are unwilling to vote according to ethnic lines, according to racial politics, be it the Afro-Guyanese population, the Indo-Guyanese population. We know that there's a substantial subset of the Guyanese population who are unwilling to vote along those lines and are instead willing to listen to reason, to support a party that can make a difference, that can hold the government accountable and not be obstructive, because this is what the PP is going to sell you. They're going to tell you, everyone in the opposition is just going to block our progress. No, we're not about blocking progress. We are about supporting progress where it's applicable for the good of the entire nation. And if there's anything that needs questioning, if there's anything that needs research, we are willing to do such. We are willing to propose changes and or minuscule changes, that is, whereby we can improve the system. And that is what ANUG is about. And that is why I challenge all of Guyana today, young, especially the young population, to stop voting along ethnic lines, to stop voting along who your mother or father would have supported, and instead listen to the voice of reason, think for yourselves, and vote for what is best for you and your kids in the future.
Well, you've heard it. And just want to say thank you for that, Dr. Franz. So, persons who listen out there, you've heard what Anuk is willing to offer, is going to bring to you for the next elections. We have about 4 to 5 minutes more, and I want us to touch on 2 things quickly, if we can wrap it up in that short time. One, all the Chinese stores that are opening in Guyana, right? Also, recently I went through Northeast, and from where we call Go Slow, from Mandela to the cemetery, there's 19 speed bumps on that road. So I'm trying to figure out, yes, we have all this infrastructure happening, right? But 19 speed bumps? I can just imagine the individuals who live in that area, how frustrated they are. Especially if you're driving a low car, your bottom's going to drag. It's very expensive already, to fix cars and all these different things. And there's 19 speed bumps. Everywhere you turn is speed bumps.
And how long is that stretch? A mile long, mile and a half long, 2 miles long?
Maybe a mile.
19 speed bumps?
Right.
That's formidable.
19 speed bumps. And after that, in that area, there's about 2 to 3 Chinese business, right? And even if you look in North Rumfield, there's about 7 or 8 Chinese business opening, and I'm wondering what's really going on in Guyana, because it seems as though it is easier for foreigner to come to your country and open businesses and have all these things, but it is difficult for you as an individual living here.
Last night, I live on the West Coast. I went to the Chinese store last night to buy boxed milk. I bought 2 boxes of boxed milk. I went to the counter. They a little calculator and told me it was $12 or $13 and change. So I looked at it. I said, "Can I have a bill?" It took her 5 minutes to actually write a bill out for me. Earlier during the day at Medemir Resort, I went to buy a dog shit for my dog. I'm standing there waiting. The guy said, "What do you want?" I said, "I'm waiting for my bill." It's a Chinese store. So you gotta literally beg them or ask them for a bill, which brings something in my head. How is the government collecting taxes from these folks when they don't produce a bill for the items that they sell? That's the first thing. The second thing is, from Vredenhoop to Puerto Rico, invariably every single Chinese store sells drugs, sells liquor, sells beer, and a whole host of other things. And there is a set of people, Guyanese folks, sitting in front of the Chinese store all the way from Vredenhoop to Puerto Rico, and they're drinking beer, buy the beers, sit there, and the Chinese make some benches and chairs for them to sit down and drink. So not sure if they have a liquor license or they have a retail liquor license to sell liquor. This is what's there. This is what's proliferating. And if the west coast of Namar is a microcosm of this situation, what happens to the length and breadth of Guyana? And again, reason versus emotions. Lots of us may say, "Oh, they're taking away the moms and pops business of the regular Guyanese." I totally agree with that, but I'm speaking from the objective side of it. How are they able to pay the taxes? How is the Guyana government recouping sales tax from all these stores? When you got to beg them for a receipt, they don't automatically give you a receipt. They have it a calculator and give you.
Also, sometimes when you have to get back your $10 or $20 change, they want to give you 2 mints.
Yeah, you get
I remember I had to say to them, "I don't want no mint already. I want my money."
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's becoming sad day by day. For ordinary guy.
And I'm also glad you talk about the road with the speed bumps. I went to Mandir at Medemir Resort. And before that, right next to the Mandir is a drain, and then the road was there. The road was in a bad shape. They fixed the road and it covered the drain completely. So when I went to Mandir on Sunday, the water is seeping from the road directly into the entrance of the Mandir. There's no more little drainer, as we say in Guyana. The drainer is not there anymore. Harold was there sweeping the water out from where it was seeping into the Mandir. Simple things like that. Where's the engineer? Where are the people who are supposed to be looking at the road to see the design is actually the way it was designed is kind of the same way? Have no idea. These are little quality of life issues that affects every single Guyanese. How about the GPL business?
Well, in North Roundveld, everyone will know that that community was in blackout for a while. Even this evening, about 5:30, we didn't have lights because they're doing the interconnection. But added to that, it's really terrible because when you're driving down North Roundveld, most of the poles that they put up, they dig the drain so close that they're building these drains and covering it so close to the poles that the poles are linear.
So today, the vice president actually was fuming and fretting that something must be done, that the posts were not done to specs, etc. But that's like closing the barn door after the horse has bolted. What happened to all these engineers that were supposed to be there and all the techie people who are supposed to be looking at something like this? Where are they? Are they going to be fired? The VP did promise they're going to be fired. But then the VP, sometimes you talk for the sake of talking because he did call, I know, useless. And I up to now, he hasn't qualified what he means by useless. Or something the man a gaff, man. The man sometimes talk for the sake of talking, right? So today he made a pronouncement about the road that heads are going to roll. We'll wait and see where the heads are going to roll on something like that because he sounded very incensed when he said that. Go ahead, Niall.
I just want to say thank you guys for coming. Our time is up. I would like to have you guys again. Maybe next Friday, if you guys are available, we can continue this conversation. Thank you, Guyana, for tuning in. And see you again next week.
Namaste. Salaam alaikum.
Well, certainly.
And good night to all.
Thank you, Niall. There are a whole lot of issues that needs addressing. We know that every Thursday the press conference has a lot of things that you can follow up on. But in the new year, especially, we'll be seeing a lot more of Anuk, and people will be hearing a lot more of what is it that we stand for, how we can address issues, and more so the expectation for us to have our manifesto out by at least the end of January, so that people can see that we're here for serious business and what is it exactly that we plan on offering the Guyanese public. So
we happy
holidays. Merry Christmas to the persons, because I know next week Wednesday is Christmas. Merry Christmas to the persons, and season greetings, and hopefully we see you at least once more before the new year. But even if we do only see in the new year, know that Anuk has a lot more for you in store, and we will continue to address all of the issues, addressing issues.
And if you can take a little drink for Christmas, please drink and drive responsibly. We beg you. Every life saved is a life gained, especially for the younger people, the generation Z and Y. This country, this country belongs to your 65% of our population. Please exercise caution. We beg and we plead with you. So again, thank you so very much for listening to us this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Salute.